Wait for it. Wait for it.
Who am I? You sure you want to know? Who am I?
It's the Trusty Sidekick Podcast with your host,
Bobby Hill, Jay Washington.
What's happening, y'all? Welcome to the first edition of the Trusty Sidekick Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jay Washington.
And I am your co-host, Bobby Hill.
So for those who are trying to understand what this podcast is about, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about all of the great TV shows and movies that have been derived from amazing comic books. Now, we're talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the DC Cinematic Universe, other comics as well, those that have gone into Netflix, regular television, even movies that are upcoming. We're going to preview all of that. Now, just to give you a little background, Bobby and myself are both stand-up comedians. We do a lot of different shows together, things of the sort, and we're good friends. So we have these discussions a lot. So we figured the best bet to do would be have this discussion in a podcast format to let everybody listen, and then give people the opportunity to check in and, email us and give us their thoughts and feedback and stuff like that.
Yeah, pretty much. I want to start by saying that's the best professional voice you're ever going to hear from Jay Washington. I like I like how you start off like you start off with that professional voice. I heard you on Educated Insanity, and every show starts with you with that professional voice, and then by the time you're halfway through the show, it drops off to this the regular Jay Washington.
It just becomes me. It just becomes me again.
Which is great, because every time it starts off, it's like, I have this intention that I'm going to speak to the white people everywhere, and they're going to want to listen to me. And halfway through, he's like, fuck it, I'm just going all in now. That's what's happening.
It's going to be the white people and the black people who have great education.
I love it. It's the best. Yeah, but we are, we're big-time comic dorks. I'm a little older than Jay, so I kind of veered off of comics maybe a little bit earlier than you did, as far as probably a full-time thing. Mm-hmm. I still occasionally read stuff. I don't have them hold them at my local comic book shop for every Tuesday like I used to, so I don't do that anymore.
Man.
But as soon as I was on a site called Spider-Man Hype back when it first came out, before the first Spider-Man movie came out.
Wow, everybody was so pumped up about that.
Yeah, I was on the original forums, and I've been on those forums since before that movie came out, and then it changed to Superhero Hype. And I've been on those forums forever. So I've gone through all the crazy casting stuff. I've argued with people online in the forums over things that are not related to comic books at all through most of my 20s. So, I'm pretty into comic books. And now they've got all these wonderful shows about comic books that are on TV now pretty much every night now. So fortunately, it's on a Friday, so we can get. Basically, the idea is every Friday, ideally, we'll record this podcast and hopefully have it out by Saturday or Sunday,
depending on schedules, of course.
Yeah, to the masses, and that way we'll keep you guys up to date on everything that's going on in the shows that you're watching. You'll hear some viewpoints and some thoughts on some things that on the episodes that just went by. This will be mostly from memory for us, so we may miss a plot point. It's going to be mostly from memory and notes from us, because we don't have TVs in front of us. We're not rewinding stuff. We don't have licenses to anything, so we can't play any clips.
Right,
from the
show. We're not licensed or authorized by anything.
This is just legit nerddom. If you're super into superhero comic books and super into the shows and the movies that come out around them, and you want to hear some people talk about stuff like that, then this is what you'll probably listen to. Hopefully this will be your trusty sidekick to the shows that you're watching on TV.
Yes.
See how I did that?
I like how you did that. That was a
professional
beautiful
segue, right?
A professional. Speaking of, let's segue into our first show. We're going to talk about CW's Arrow. For those who aren't familiar and aren't, it's a story. It's basically Batman without money now. It's a story of Oliver Queen, who, as he said, my name is Oliver Queen. And after 5 years in hell, I came back to save my city.
Which doesn't seem like it's not hell. Like, it's also still hell now. It's just home. It's just hell at home. It's like, instead of having to go to hell, you got to be on your couch, but it also sucked as bad as hell did.
Like, he went through a lot. He said 5 years in hell when you first see the show, and he says it like he was on the island of Lian Yu the entire time. And you was like, wait, fam, you were in Hong Kong. You were here. You every place wasn't.
It wasn't just hell, man. You had some times you slept on a regular bed. What are you talking about?
You stayed in a person's apartment for a year and a half, bro. You got a haircut later when you went back to that.
Right.
So Arrow is now in season 4. It's picking up a little bit after season 3. A lot of people didn't like season 3, the whole League of Assassins storyline angle. And I didn't have too much of a problem with it, because I was telling people, you got to understand, this show is beautifully arced, the way it's showing the transition from him being a co-murderer which
Right.
he needs to go to jail.
To being a compassionate hero, right?
Yeah,
Like,
because nobody wants to talk about the fact that Oliver Queen killed about 130 people.
well, the other thing too is like, how many times can people attack a whack ass city in a couple of years? Like, the first 2 years was completely. I mean, everybody was attacking. You know, there was a whole thing when he first came back and dealing with the
Undertaking.
the Undertaking, and then dealing with Brother Blood and everything that happened the year after that. It was like the city had already been under siege, so they needed to do something where all the action was happening outside of Starling, now Star City, right? They had to do that.
And what the hell made Star City so special? Like,
Right.
Now, I get it with, never mind, let me rephrase that, because I get it with Merlin.
Right.
His vendetta was his wife was killed.
Right.
I get it.
Right.
I get it with Slade Wilson in season 2 because it was just to show how bad he wanted to hurt Oliver.
Right.
So I get it. Season 3 with Ra's al Ghul, I'm like, unless you're talking about all the corruption that's happening with that,
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
Well, see, I think it was just this need to try and push him to that point, right? He had to get to the brink where that now he can become this compassionate person. He had to get pushed to the edge where he fucks over Diggle, he screws over his family. You know what I mean? He does all these things that kind of, and a lot of it was in defiance of Ra's al Ghul, right? A lot of it was in the attempt to not have to go over to that side, but he had to go all the way over the top to finally make that happen. So I thought it was a good season. I know it was, you start getting into the mystical arts of things, which is hilarious how people are like, oh, I hate when they get into the mystical arts part while they're watching a television show about a comic book.
Right. You can't hate that part. And then for people who were upset about the Lazarus Pit, they thought it was only in the Batman storyline. Like, no, it's prevalent in all of the DC.
It's part of the DC universe.
It's part of the DC universe.
Right? Yeah.
So just play catch up. Season 4 started. It's introduced the newest villain, the newest antagonist, Damien Dark. Damien Dark being the head of Hive, played by Neil McDonough, who is playing the hell out of this.
He's one of my favorite actors. He looks like he's not a human being with the eyes and the hair. It's just like, and he has that Alec Baldwin walk where he's got his arms are just kind of like he's got those
like he's swole, but he's not swole.
Yeah, like his arms have been riding a horse. He's
Like
got bow-legged arms.
So Damien Dark, his whole thing again is he wants to kill Star City to help it rebuild. He has the Hive, which are called Ghost, his army that are trashing the city, blah, blah, blah. Let's fast forward through all that to get to where we are. You have Thea, who was brought back from the Lazarus Pit last season, now feeling the effects, which has come back in this previous episode.
Right.
And I love it when she snaps.
Dude, when she's out to dinner with the campaign manager, and that guy walks up to her and is trying and won't leave her alone.
So dude got what he deserved.
She would have kept going though.
Like she'd have kept going if dude wouldn't have walked up. But his thing, even when they went looking for the serum to decode the DNA scrambler, I will say this. I'm gonna veer off real fast. Did you pay attention to how they're now shooting the fight sequences?
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. I was waiting to ask you this question because I watched the previous episode when they were at the one location and they were fighting in there. I thought the fighting was was not very good. Like I kept watching it going, it's obvious that some of these people that are now heroes, they've never really punched in real life, or they're just learning how to punch in real life for the show. These aren't people that come from fight backgrounds, and that's on the close-ups obviously because they don't have to use stunt doubles for those. But I was watching it and I like this. But this week, the fight that Thea has with Diggle's brother on the elevator.
My God, dude, that
it looks like, I mean, and there's cutscenes in it. It's not like the Daredevil show.
It looked like a one shot for a second.
Yeah, there were a couple times there were some good cutscenes, but the movement and the action from where they first start fighting to going onto the elevator to coming off of the elevator to everything in between, all the fight scenes this week were crazy. And I found that the episode was directed by the fight choreographer this time. And I'm not sure if he's directed other episodes. I didn't really look enough into the background to know that or not. But the guy's name is James Bamford, and he's been a fight choreographer on there, and he directed the episode, which is like, I mean, he directed the hell out of some fight scenes.
The one fight scene where Oliver fights, it's a bunch of the Slade guys. He fights like almost 20 of them. It was the biggest fight scene they had ever done at Arrow. I like that.
It's probably the same guy. I would guess. I mean,
he's the fight coordinator for that.
Yeah.
I follow Stephen Amell on Facebook, and Stephen he's very proactive and interactive, where he would put up, behind the scenes of what they were doing.
Right.
So I saw a lot about that. Now, back into the episode, the fact that Diggle's brother is alive, bro.
Yeah. Here's the thing, like, you'd think that maybe after Oliver, Diggle would learn a lesson about the idea of, like, forgiveness of people who've gone astray. You know, it's a tough thing that I have trouble with, and I'm gonna explain why I have trouble with that on when we talk about the Flash. I'm gonna talk about that. Like, for some reason, there are certain characters that are so hardcore on what they're doing that, like, even if the thing happens a repeated time, they're still not picking up on what's going on. And you'd think that with all these people who are smart around them, somebody would be like, yo, man, remember like a couple weeks ago when you were shitty at Oliver over some shit that was just like this?
Like, dude, you were hella pissed off.
It's the same deal, man.
But Oliver the one sitting like, yo, dog, this is your brother, fam.
Right.
You need to chill for a second.
You forgave me, and you used to be my bodyguard. So,
hey, and the dopest line he said in that whole episode was when he came back to help Oliver. He's like, yeah, I came in to help my brother.
Right.
The one wearing green.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is all emotional shit.
Black people everywhere are like, no,
not that one, dog. So the one thing I did like, I like that part of the storyline. It's starting to build up a lot more. Thea's bloodlust.
Yeah.
It now, her being in the Lazarus pit makes her immune to Damien Dark.
Yeah. So obviously this is going to come down to that having to be how they eliminate him, right? Like, it's somehow a fight between Thea and him has to be what saves.
Doesn't have to be Thea though.
It's got to be anybody who's gone to Lazarus.
Thea or Sarah.
Right.
Because we're setting up to, if you pay attention, and we'll talk about the Flash in a second, both of these shows are setting up Legends of Tomorrow.
Right.
They're doing it nice.
Right. Yeah.
Because Ray keeps talking about Ray Palmer, who comes back. I got to find a purpose in my life.
Oh, yeah. Which is funny. It was interesting for him to talk about how he had trouble getting back into the swing of things, and Oliver encouraging him after we were just talking about Oliver being gone for 5 years, but not really being in hell the whole time. You know what I mean?
You get stripped down to 5 inches. 5 inches, you like, yeah, life ain't been the same.
Right.
Like, since I was short.
Right.
But overall, fine. And then speaking of Dark, the fact that Oliver, okay, I have to give Stephen Amell so much props for this character he plays, and I'll tell you why. The scene where he meets Damien Dark as Oliver Queen and plays oblivious to who he is.
Yeah, it's great. He does a really good job playing cold there. I liked it a lot.
He was
liked it a lot.
And who are you, sir?
So I'm trying to figure out, because I saw obviously the last scene. You know, this is not a spoiler free. You know, this is not going to be a spoiler free show. So you need to be caught up on everything before you listen to this. From now on into the future, we're going to be caught up every week when we talk about these shows.
Right. So if you're not, that's pretty much your fault.
You're fucked. You know, what I mean? wait a week and then catch up. Then listen to some other podcasts, then come back.
Come back to this one.
But we're going to keep you on message with what's going on. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a situation of like, okay, so what does that mean going into the next episode? You know, is he saying he's not teaming up with Dark at all? Because at one point he was talking about making that alliance.
Well, I think what he's got to tread that line thinly.
Right.
Because Diggle brought it up, after Felicity told him. I believe he's going to tread this line where it's like, okay, I got to do this, but not to the point where I damn near sell my soul.
Right.
And he doesn't want to put Lance in any more danger.
Mm-hmm.
Than he already is.
And Lance is pretty much out. I mean, Lance doesn't have the trust anymore.
Right, he doesn't have the trust, so now somebody has to get close to him. And, yeah, of course, here's my problem I'm going to have with this, and when it all comes down to it, because we already know what's going to happen.
Right.
Dark is going to figure out Oliver Queen is the Green Arrow.
Of course.
I hate the fact that every bad guy knows.
Has to find out.
Right. Slade Wilson is a different story because of their buildup.
Right.
He knew from the hood.
But not every bad guy needs to find that out.
Right,
because it makes it hard to have a bad guy come back again because he's always going to go after the friends and family who aren't superheroes.
Right.
Every time.
Well, in this case with Oliver Queen, like the only family he has is his sister, and his sister's a superhero, so she can pretty much protect herself.
Right.
Real quick before we switch subjects, what do you think going into the next episode?
I don't know. I think we're building up to, we're getting close to this Flash Arrow crossover, right? That's coming in
December 1st.
It's December 1st, so that's 2 weeks away.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's one more large scale thing with Dark maybe next week, and we'll see some type of an attack on him that will lead to something that will fall out from there. And then I think we'll set up to see maybe the last episode with Ray Palmer involved in what's going on for the storyline for now.
I am hoping to God personally that the story I was reading a while back, I'm hoping and praying that Damien Dark is Felicity Smoke's father.
Oh, no.
I am praying because think about this before we switch subjects.
Right.
Her mom says she doesn't really remember him.
Right.
They haven't seen each other.
Right.
All of a sudden her mom comes back now.
And she was hooking up with Lance.
She's hooking up with Lance. how
That would be
because Felicity wants to know who her dad is.
Yep.
Dark's a genius. Felicity's a genius.
right.
Because she don't get it from her mama.
This is true. The last names are great. Smoke and Dark, and they're not spelled the way that
Hey, you
Smoke
see,
and Dark are spelled. It's just like, okay,
now you think about it?
Sweet, mysterious motherfuckers. It's not.
Speaking of the same universe, the Flash, the show that started as an offshoot of Arrow, has now come into a life of its own.
Yeah.
Grant Gustin is Barry Allen, a.k.a. the Flash. We're in season 2 now.
And I was worried about him at first. When I first saw he was one who was cast as the Flash, I was like, I'm not sure if I'm really into this concept of this guy being the Flash. It doesn't look like I when I first got into Flash, it was when the Flash was on trial for killing Iris West in the comic books. That's when I first,
okay, I remember that. Yeah.
So that was when that was when I first started reading the Flash. That was when that was happening. When Reverse Flash killed her, and everybody blamed it on Barry, and he had to be on trial.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I first got it. So I'm a huge Flash fan from back in the day. So it was. I wasn't really sure about this kid, but he's killed it, man. He's an awesome Flash.
He's awesome. You know what? I wouldn't even say that Grant Gustin makes this character. I have to say this. Tom Cavanaugh makes this show.
They can't get rid of him. They had to bring him back. He was so good in the first season that they created. I mean, they brought in a whole Earth 2. The Earth 2 storyline is almost strictly so they could bring back Cavanaugh for this. It's literally it.
It was a perfect reason, and dude, the best part of that when they came back from the season 2, when they first introduced Wells. When he goes to the Star Labs and Joe walk in, Joe says nothing, just bop, 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 goes off 3 shots. Barry like, ah!
Joe's from the hood, though. You could tell. Joe didn't grow up in the same type of lifestyle that he currently gets to live. That's not where Joe came from.
Absolutely not. Now, we're to catch up. Again, the whole Earth 2 storyline has happened. This is based off of the ending of season 1.
Also, I really got to fit this in. I love the idea that like both of these shows have found like the stock photo white guy to play a main character, like John Barrowman who plays Merlin in Arrow, and Tom Cavanaugh. It's like these are guys who you forget have done other things, but then they just end up in one of these shows where they just eat up scenery, just chew up scenery. Like every time they're on camera, it's like these motherfuckers is acting right now.
They like, I'm earning all this
They're
goddamn
giving
paycheck.
it their all right now.
So let's catch up now. We had the introduction to Zoom episode before last.
Right.
Zoom came in. If you don't know, Zoom is one of. Okay, for those who don't know about the Flash, there are speedsters.
This will be the only catch-up you'll ever get after this for just talking about the episode.
There are various
One-shot
speedsters. The Flash is not the only speedster. Okay, there's the Reverse Flash. There's Kid Flash, who's coming in soon.
Somewhere in here, yeah.
He'll be in. There's Jay Garrick as the Flash. There's Zoom. There's so many.
And different stories give different reasons for why they've appeared. Some of them are part of the actual history, where so many years ago before the current Flash, there was Jay Garrick. Some of them from alternate universes. It just depends on who's in charge at the time
of the storyline
of Marvel and who's rebooting what universe.
You mean DC?
Yeah, who's in charge of DC and who's
because you said Marvel. I was like, no, you don't do that. So this episode brought back somebody that everybody was wanting to see what would happen after season 1, Gorilla Grodd. Now, for those who were fans of the comics, at first they were hesitant because Grodd was not affected by the particle accelerator or anything of the sort like that. Grodd is not a metahuman. Basically, he's a meta-gorilla.
He's a gorilla.
He's a meta-gorilla in this show, but in the comic books, he's a gorilla from another world.
Right.
That's just hyper-intelligent.
Yeah.
And so they brought Grodd back in this one, and I was like, okay, y'all stepped up the CGI on him, first of all.
They did. Yeah, it's tough to do hair, man. It's tough to do hair. When you have a gorilla, which is pretty much all hair, you got to try and make that work. But they work with the shadows really well with him. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of daytime shots of Grodd.
They did one.
Right.
But it was a nice one. I mean, I was like, okay, it worked.
Right. But you notice they focus most of them indoors, in the dark,
Back to dark. I liked it, yeah. But the fact they brought him back, and now Grodd was like, because Grodd kidnaps Caitlin, and everybody's like, why did he kidnap Caitlin?
Yeah.
Grodd trusted her.
Right.
And so Grodd was like, how'd I get like this?
Right.
He was like, listen, I was a regular monkey. I was chilling.
I was just monkeying around. I was
just
just doing
monkeying
monkey
around.
shit. Everything was cool. And then all of a sudden, I'm talking to you without even saying words out
All of a
loud.
sudden, my goddamn brain hurts. I didn't even know I had a brain.
I like how his means to an end always involves like just murdering a few people. Like every time, no matter what he's doing, all he wanted was to figure out who he was and how he got to be himself, and that also included murdering a few people.
Well, he did. He was telling Caitlin he wanted to recreate the particle accelerator.
Right.
So I was watching. I was like, "Yo, is this going to be how they finally give Caitlin her powers?"
Right.
Because if you're not familiar, she becomes Killer Frost.
How much PTSD does that woman have right now?
A lot.
If you're Caitlin, you've been with no powers. Everybody else has powers except her and Iris.
Cisco got bullshit powers. Cisco
Everybody's
ran
got
motherfucker
powers
touching people.
except for like Iris, Joe, and her. And there's just steady watching craziness happen. At least Joe's a cop. You know what I mean?
Joe got a gun. Iris got good cheekbones.
Move to another city. What are you still doing here?
Why do you still? Yeah.
Mary's dad was smart enough. He's like, I'm out. Okay, this shit is crazy.
And then
But
that
they brought him back.
And this brings me. I'm glad you brought that up. Everybody's trying to figure out who is Zoom.
Right.
I really believe Zoom is his father in an alternate universe.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Because it's gonna blow his head up.
That would make sense.
It's starting to make sense.
Yeah.
Like how, but the episode before was Zoom.
The question just becomes why does he hate him so much?
Unless Zoom is Barry's father and Barry is the dad in the alternate universe, something like that.
Weird. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Zoom is actually ever going to be a real person or if it's just a demonic force that he's got to somehow figure out how to beat.
I'm hoping it's not just. I'm really hoping.
You're hoping it's a person.
I'm really hoping Zoom is not just an entity. Because again, when they did Reverse Flash, they did everybody like, okay, who is this? 'Cause
Right.
we all thought at first, before he was calling himself the Reverse Flash, we all
Right.
thought he was Zoom.
Yeah, we thought that's who that was.
We thought it was Zoom. They were
Right.
like, no, this is the Reverse Flash.
Right.
Okay, cool. Also, if you didn't pay attention, they gave Earth 2's Wells the Reverse Flash suit.
Yeah.
They found out how to get it out the ring.
Uh-huh.
Which means
Yeah, they're going to have the ring going on.
the ring is
Oh,
about
yeah.
to go on for Barry. So now he doesn't have to always run back to Star Labs to get his
He can
suit.
be on the go and just
just-
get to get
Yep.
to work. Yeah. it's
I was
really
like,
good.
okay.
You know that's going to happen. I'm excited to see the CGI of that because there's the way it was done in the comic books. There was a very particular way in which the suit always came out of the ring. There was a look to the way every time it was drawn when the suit came out of that ring, where you were like, oh, it's almost iconic for the character,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm interested to see how it comes out here because that's the stuff that's got me pumped up for
Well,
the show.
I think they're gonna do it like they
Super
did.
nerd.
If you remember in season 1 when they did the Firestorm, when it was Firestorm, I don't even know what you want to call him, the Green Arrow. When he was up Rory Al Ghul,
Right.
and there was Barry. When Wells shot the suit out the ring,
Right.
So I think we're gonna get it in that
Yeah.
method, in that manner, and which I'm cool with completely.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I love the fact you're starting to meet Hawk Girl,
Yep.
and why Cisco just don't say, "Hey, bitch, you got wings."
Right. Well, there's an element of that. Like, he's not really sure what he sees that's necessarily from him, from his timeline, or from, you know what I mean? Like, or when that's happening. There's not a lot of, like, how soon before this happens. There's also the element of, like, does she know that's who she is, or is that something that she becomes? And I think the issue is that she knows that's who she is.
And she's kept it a secret.
She's just been, right.
like,
But where has she been hawking around this whole time?
Where did you tuck away them wings?
Right.
That's been my question. Like, there was some really nice wings.
Well, that's the thing is that the Hawk Girl and Hawkman series has gone through so many changes. There's been like 7 or 8
Yes,
versions
there
of them.
have.
They've been from this planet. They've been from
From
another
another planet.
They've been gods. They've been part of the Thungarian race. They've been a million different things. The wings have been attached to their body. It's been a suit they've worn. There's
Right.
been nth metal. There's been so many different versions. So it's like, well, you can pick and choose from whatever you want and try and figure out how to lay that out. So who knows what that deal is? But there's Hawkman coming too, but they're both going to end up on Legends of Tomorrow before it's over.
Now,
so.
they haven't even introduced Hawkman at all.
Right, but I have seen a picture of him.
I've seen the picture. Yeah, I've seen the picture of both.
Right.
So now you've got, speaking of Legends of Tomorrow, before we wrap this part up with those two, you've got the White Canary finna happen because Sarah left an
Right.
Arrow to get herself together.
Right.
You got the White Canary about to happen. You've got the Atom.
Yep.
You're gonna get Captain Cole somewhere.
Yep.
The new Firestorm.
Well, he's already been on, so
He's been on,
and
so-
Firestorm's been on, so both those characters are kind of waiting in the wings to get added to the group.
Hawk Girl is the last one, and
Right.
and that's it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. It's nobody.
That's a whole team. And then the other character is the guy who leads them.
Rip Hunter.
Rip Hunter.
Which was mentioned in season 1,
right?
When Ebarthon Wells was about to go through. Yeah, if you don't realize, we're talking really hellified nerdy. You're like, yo, these is two grown ass men.
But if you're a fan of the shows, you know exactly
what we're
saying.
talking about. So he mentioned now the introduction of Vandal Savage. I'm hoping they're not going to wait until the show. I'm hoping.
So the crossover, you hope he comes next week.
You need to have something that introduces him.
Probably, I
you
would
can't
see that.
just throw him out.
Yeah. Well, they like to do stuff for like the last bit of the show is doing that. Is bringing that. So hopefully he'll come in at least towards the end of the episodes next week.
Okay, hopefully so.
Yeah.
Supergirl.
Yeah.
For
the record, if you're wondering how this has been working, we're going to try and do mostly DC stuff this week just because Jay hasn't caught up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
You're damn
yet.
right. Don't blame me.
He hasn't caught Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. yet, and Jessica Jones just came out. We're gonna talk a couple things about that, but we're not gonna get too deep into it this week. So because there's so many DC shows that are out on TV right now that are pumping, we're kind of talking about DC mostly this week, and then we're gonna hit on the rest of these shows next week and kind of give the wrap up on DC a little bit. So we'll give you maybe 2 weeks the week after that. So
now Supergirl is the next one. She's in the universe.
What do you think about this show so far?
It's too
You're
bright.
fully caught up, right?
It's too bright.
It's too bright.
It's too bright.
Well, that's the thing when you're on the CW, like they're just like, listen, just make sure that people between the ages of 14 and 29 watch this show, no matter what. We need people from 14 to 30 to watch this show, no matter what. So make it as dark, scary, whatever. They've already got a track record for that. CBS has like Blue Bloods. You know what I mean? Like that's NCIS. They've got Y50. Those are their shows. Those are all like. Those are like the darkest. Good Wife is like the most dangerous show they've got going on.
That's the problem. It's gonna suck because it's gonna kill that show. I mean, granted, you introduced Superman.
Right.
Yay. They were the only, which I'm really shocked they were able to. I understand.
They pull it off.
You have to.
Right.
You have to with.
Well, I think they found a way to like eliminate him from being somebody that everybody's asking about week after week for a while with the storyline from I think it was episode 3.
Yeah.
Where they had him kind of like they were kind of G-chatting each other
real quick, like
and they agreed that he's probably gonna stay out of her business for a while. So it's kind of on her to kind of do her thing.
Here's the problem I have with Supergirl.
Yeah.
You're the female version of your cousin.
Right.
You have the exact same powers as Superman.
Right.
But you get your ass whooped more than your cousin.
Well, she's just figuring it out, man. She's a rookie.
She's always known.
She's a rookie, though.
She's not like...
But she's a rookie. She's brand new in the whole... I mean, she just learned how to fight like a week ago.
Yeah, literally a week ago. She
just learned how to fight a week ago, man. Here's the deal. I dig it. I think it's a cool show. I think that like a lot of shows that make attempts to be more diverse right now, I think that some of the attempts at like putting that diversity out on Front Street are kind of very much spoon-fed. Like, not to get off the superhero comic topic, but like I like Aziz Ansari's new show, Master of None. But like some of the attempts to show diversity is just like classic. Even that is stereotypical. You know what I mean? Like it's just maybe people are dumb enough they have to be spoon-fed, but for people who are actually are progressive, we're just like, this is a little below the grade. And I get that with Supergirl sometimes. I'm like, we get it. I'm definitely for the idea of pushing the concept of some feminist ideals and the fact that women can do anything that men do. But a lot of the show deals with times when women are like fighting with each other over things. Right. And I think it's a weird stance to take is that every time that she's trying to get something accomplished, she's dealing with having to overcome another woman to get to where it is.
She got her boss trying to expose her, things like that.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the deal. Neither of us are really qualified to talk about women's issues.
None.
But I think the show is great. I think it's good they have a woman superhero on television. I think that's an awesome deal. But I just I think at some point what'll make the show last is when it gets into the part of like just good solid storytelling that involves a woman who's getting shit done and winning and knocking motherfuckers out and like living a life, and it gets a little bit away from being all like completely preachy all the time. Well, the idea is that people will pick up on the symbol of a woman who's doing things and getting things accomplished and being a good superhero and making the show move forward more than they will being hammered with a message every week of like, oh, you think I can't do this because I'm a girl? You think it's like, no, just show us you're doing it, and then we'll be super into that.
Would you rather have
maybe I'm totally wrong.
Would you rather have a Supergirl show series or a Wonder Woman series?
Well, I would rather have a Wonder Woman series, and the reason for that is, as you said before, we already have it. We already have Superman, and I think if you're gonna let women if you're gonna finally be fair and give women the right they deserve to shine. Like, give them one of their original superheroes to do it with. Don't bring out somebody who's just a female version of a male superhero.
And that's where I'm going.
Which is cool.
Exactly
I think it's fine. I'm glad they have the show. I'm super excited for it. I hope it goes on forever. I hope it really does some things as far as proving, like, hey, women superhero shows are a thing that people want to watch also. I think it would have been really cool had they brought back a Wonder Woman series or another female superhero that they had.
Wait a minute. Didn't they try to on NBC a while back?
They did. The pilot never got picked up.
Yeah,
that was during that period of time, which has been for all periods of time, probably up until now, where they said they had trouble writing a female character as a superhero, which I think is total horseshit.
Absolutely. I will say this. I do agree. I get it. You want to show a powerful female superheroine, and I'm good with that. But you should not have her be just the offshoot of the guy you use.
Yeah.
Let her be a standalone. Because that's what Wonder Woman was.
Yep.
Now, granted, in the DC universe, there are not a lot of powerful females.
Right, which is also a problem.
I mean, seriously, when you sit there and think about it, Marvel has a bunch of females who dominate on all fronts.
Right.
When you say DC, everybody just goes, well, you got Wonder Woman, Supergirl, Wonder Woman.
Right, and then who's Wonder Woman's little sister? What was her name?
Right. So I get it. And again, yeah, we brought up Caitlin Snow becomes Killer Frost later, but as a whole,
leading ladies in the DC universe.
In the DC universe.
Right.
There's a bunch of them in Marvel.
You have to get into, like, Batman does the best job of bringing out female superheroes, because you have, like, the Huntress is really an offshoot from Batman. I mean,
that's why I love they brought
part of Batman,
but they let Oliver Queen boner.
Right.
I'm sorry, I couldn't be Felicity Smoke, because I could not be working with him.
This is also not a G-rated podcast.
Yeah, with two of his ex-chicks running around here saving the day. Like,
there's a lot of intergroup fucking going on in this. This is a very polyamorous group of friends.
The only one that ain't fuck nobody in the group is fucking Diggle.
Yeah.
The only one.
Yeah, the one brother, by the
one
way.
black dude, by the way. Hey, fuck nobody. We're just gonna
No, they got Mr. Terrific now. He's
gay.
Yeah, but he's still terrific.
I mean, he's still no. I'm just saying he's not fucking anybody in the group because he's married.
Right.
Because he's married.
Right. Which
Which by the way, if you didn't catch that episode, when Oliver Queen came in, this is why I was talking. You're straight and you're happy. You're straight and you're like, why are you trying to convince yourself? I don't think Oliver Queen would care. I was like, oh, he really did this.
That's hilarious.
So overall with Supergirl, I want to see what they're gonna do. I think they're bringing Red Tornado in.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what Hank Henshaw's deal is.
Yes.
Because there was that one, you've seen him kind of be this thing where his eyes flashed red on the one episode, and obviously he's known the Danvers family now since she first got there. So he's been involved in for a while now. So I'm interested to see, like, how deep that well goes and whether this guy's good or bad and what his situation is.
If he like a relation to Zod or somebody, because it's all of the Kryptonians that were put away.
Right.
So I hate the fact they're trying to use the offshoots of Superman to sustain the show.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the villains are either Kryptonians.
There's a lot of spillover.
Right. It's either Kryptonians that were put away by her aunt, or it's people that Superman.
I like how this episode, though, created a situation where the major villain was someone that was somewhat of an original villain to Supergirl based off of something that happened.
Right.
With Supergirl trying to do something
nice.
Right.
I get that.
As opposed to another, Krypton spillover.
Now, let's go into the last DC show on TV right now. A show a lot of people have a lot of criticism about. I'm a fan of it.
I'm so into this show. It's so stupid.
I'm talking about Gotham, man. I'm a fan of it. Because
I'm into this show, like some people are into shows like Vanderpump Rules and shit like that on Bravo, like Real Housewives. Like, I'm into Gotham like that, where it's just like, yeah, I get it. This is totally dumb. There's no way I should like this show, but it's fucking hilarious.
We're gonna do this one quick because we ain't got that much time left. I like how they keep spinning things. Like, the one thing they spent everybody on was the Joker.
It's just, I can't. I just want someone to like give me a final answer on what time period.
Yo,
this
I was
show
just about
is
to say,
taking place in.
bruh, you can't have
'Cause there is a cell phone. There's a cell phone, but there's no computers.
No, there's computers.
But they're not. But they're from like 1980.
No, because in the Batcave, that's not the Batcave. Yet.
Right. There's a couple computers in there.
There's computers there. You got cell phones. You got 1967 Fords. You like
Yeah, all the cars are from from the first gas shutdown in the early 70s.
I tweeted the Gotham writers. I was like, yo, can anybody just tell us what time period is this?
I think that's the point, though, is that there is when you're into an alternate universe, what difference does it make, right?
And
like this is the time period is this. It's
how old is
whenever
Bruce?
this is going on. I don't know, but I hope he's 14.
You see what I'm saying? How old is Bruce?
I hope he's at least 14.
Because, okay, Selena's supposed to be his age.
Right.
Right.
And she's doing flips off of buildings and shit and stealing shit and living
She
on her own.
backflipping.
She's got to be 13 or she's got to be 14, right? She's got to be 14.
Bruce is a wuss right now that I'm going to find this Alfred. Please just send his ass off.
Well, they got him kissing on Silver St. Cloud. Can you even have kids doing that on TV?
Wednesday.
It's great. I think it's great. I think it's hilarious. I don't know how. Like, obviously, this show knows that it's going to be off the air before he ever gets to be Batman age, right?
Which just sucks.
Which is like because they don't really give a shit about how old the villains are going to be. Like, because by the time he becomes Batman and really runs into one of these guys, they're going to be 40, 45, 50 years old. Like, who the hell is fighting Batman at 50 years old? This is
no one in the DC universe. You're going to tell Edward Nygma has to be 22 years old
for it to work out.
For this to work.
If he's 30 and Bruce Wayne is 12 or 13 years old,
damn that Jim Gordon has to be 26.
Yeah. Yeah, otherwise he'd be retired. Why would he keep working? Why would 20 years from now Jim Gordon continue to be on the police force? He'd be retired. He's already been a cop for 5 years. He should retire by the time that Batman ever appears.
I was like, your timeline.
It's so great.
It makes absolute because then the Penguin.
It's so wonderful because it's absurd and it just keeps more and more absurd all the time.
Because the Penguin. Because he walks like a penguin. No, he has to just go on an eating binge.
It's great.
I was like, I like it. The greatest character they've had on this whole show was an original character to the whole show, Fish Mooney.
She was outstanding, dude.
Jada Pinkett Smith was amazing.
She killed it, and the guy who played her bodyguard and then became the Penguin's bodyguard
and then got his head chopped.
And then they put a big-ass mallet on it. They just put a big-ass mallet on that dude's hand. I'm telling you, it is their version. I mean, there's shows like Once Upon a Time and Grimm and those shows where it's like, this isn't real, right? Like, that obviously this universe can't happen. We're just going to act like this is a real place where real things go on. And if you can buy into that and realize that nothing is going to make sense, that people are going to do shit that is for dumb reasons, that for some reason Monica Baccarin's character is going to continue to hang out with Jim Gordon, like, bitch, how many times you gotta get kidnapped before you're gonna be like, I'm done. I can't see you anymore. Obviously, I'd like to be alive for some more time than just the end of this episode.
Is he gonna marry another chick named Barbara?
No, I don't think so. She becomes Harley Quinn, right? Barbara Gordon or Barbara Keene in the show. Like,
no,
she's got to become Harley Quinn.
No,
right?
she's not a psych. She's
crazy. She's alive and she's crazy and she's in the hospital in a coma. Like,
I don't know. I just like how it. I try to follow it, and I'm like, okay, the rise of the villains. Okay, that's the Riddler, because I know who Edward Nygma is.
Right.
I know who Edward Nygma is.
It's so great.
I know who Oswald Cobblepot is.
Uh-huh.
I know who Selena Kyle is.
Right.
I know who Ivy is.
Right.
Okay, why the hell is Ivy like 10?
She's 10, and she's like that girl that stinks at school.
Like and people talk about it and be like, why? You can't take a bath, though.
Right.
It's not like there is no water around.
No, there's bath water available. But you get it. I do like how they do some of that stuff where they show, like, here's the type of setting that creates someone who's a complete psychopath, right? Like, the idea that this girl comes from a place that's a super broken home, super poor, a family that's all fucked up. Like, you can tell how this becomes a criminal someday, which I like.
Yeah, but I just want to see her get into, whole botany and everything.
It's a weird show, but I love it.
I don't even know, because you don't know
really
what to expect.
Avant-garde.
You don't even know what to expect anymore. Like, this is the one show out of the entire DC universe. You're like,
Yeah, it's a really avant-garde show.
Very much so.
You gotta be kind of into weird, goofy shit that's just done for art's sake. You have to like backdrops and like scenery and shit like that.
You just gotta like Chicago infused with New York infused on top of Toronto, because that's all Gotham is.
It's good.
So this was just our first opening podcast. What we're gonna now?
We should run through some of the. I think we should run through. Well, so
we got about 5 minutes left. So
we're gonna talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. probably next week. Jessica Jones just came out at 2:00 in the morning.
I do not have time.
I couldn't tell you the first thing about. I mean, I know the show is gonna be really good. It's gonna be really dark. I like that. But I don't know. I haven't watched any of it yet. So.
I don't have time to binge watch it, which I know which will happen.
Right. We're gonna probably we're probably gonna start with maybe a couple episodes a week to keep you guys involved. And we may watch all of them. But we're gonna talk about probably 2 episodes a week.
Yes.
So that we can keep so that people can kind of roll along with us, and you can try and yell spoilers at us, whatever. But we're just gonna keep watching the show at that pace, and then we'll go from there, and we'll just keep you guys involved in what's going on as we watch those episodes.
And they came out the gate with her bad guy, with the purple guy automatically.
Yeah, you know what else they did? They accidentally released the synopsis for all the shows, and so there's a couple hints to like maybe Daredevil dropping into an episode.
Well, they're around the corner from each other,
right? But like now you know which episode it's probably gonna happen in. So if you're into that, if you're into skipping ahead, there's your shot at doing that.
And speaking of which, real quick about Daredevil.
Yeah.
Reports are saying that John Barenthal as the Punisher is the greatest thing ever created.
Killing it right now.
So him as Frank Castle is something that everybody can look to see.
I wonder if they're going to try and give him another movie.
A nice reboot?
Yeah.
Well, depends on how we're going to go with the storyline, because you get... Because again, tied into Captain America: Civil War, which we'll get into later, where if what's happen's gonna happen, we already know what happens. Cap dies, Steve Rogers dies, Sam Wilson takes over.
That's how. At least that's what all the rumors are.
That's all the rumors.
What we're saying.
Right, but eventually, Frank Castle actually carries the shield for a little bit.
That'd be interesting if they make John Barenthal the guy who ends up being Captain America in future movies, but. I think to make all that happen, some people have to live to 206, because that's really moving timelines forward to make that happen. I don't know if you know what I mean. By then, you're talking they're probably rebooting some stuff, rebooting some people. Who knows? What else is going on? Doctor Strange is they're starting to see some shots of Benedict Cumberbatch as
everybody already said he's the best choice ever. So that's just game.
Yeah, it's over for that, right? But the shots are cool because you see him. He's in some places overseas where his hands are bandaged up. And he's with Chiwetel Ejiofor's character at that point. So there's some cool pictures that are on that are online if you want to go look for them. They're doing reshoots on X-Men Apocalypse right now.
God bless America.
Yeah. You know why they're doing reshoots on X-Men Apocalypse right now?
Because people hated Apocalypse.
Because Hugh Jackman is on the set. They called him in. Just like where they have those things where like the writing's messed up and they call a writer in last minute to come and help out. Hugh Jackman is coming to save X-Men Apocalypse. I don't know what they're paying him, but it's probably a boatload, okay? You know that dude just stays in shape just in case the X-Men franchise needs him.
Because he said he was going to be – he actually said after they do Old Man Logan, he was done.
He was done. He was going to be done. Well, he's not done.
Which now they can do Old Man Logan because they have the rights back to Fantastic Four.
He's not done.
So we'll see about that. Listen –
before we get out of here, I want to get down to the most important property that's the most vital property that people wonder about right now. Batman versus Superman, which is the last thing I'll talk about.
We got 2 minutes.
We got as much time as we need. Jeffrey Dean Morgan just got signed to play a character in the movie. I'm not sure what role he'll have or going forward what he'll do, but that'll be interesting, right? I
told everybody I'm still stuck on this, and I'm gonna say it, and I told you before, and I will continue feeling this way. I am not buying this movie because I understand what they have what DC is trying to do.
It's gonna be so dark.
No, it's gonna be so goddamn rushed. It's gonna be.
I love it.
We get Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. God knows if we don't get Cyborg in this one.
I know.
We're gonna get a Green Lantern
reference.
It
blows up. The Flash.
We're gonna get a Flash blurb.
Yeah, gay Flash. I like it. I'm into it. I want all that shit to happen. Blow it up. This
one's the gay Flash?
Yeah, this is gay Flash.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, shouts out to Ezra Miller playing the gay Flash one. Okay, but I don't like the fact that they're doing all these storylines at once.
Yeah, I like it. Blow it up.
No.
Yeah, and then that's how it goes. I like how they're doing it. They're doing it like Marvel, but just a little different. I like that.
What you mean a little?
It'll be
Marvel
a little
built
different.
up. Marvel did. Iron Man was like, let's see what happens.
Right.
Thor came out. They was like, we're running with it. Captain America came out. Was like, we got it.
Yeah.
We got it.
DC's like, look at how much money we made off the Superman movie. Let's bring everybody.
Throw in everybody.
Oh man, where are you at in your last week in Chicago?
I have no place.
You have no place. Where are you at on Sunday night?
Sunday. Oh, you want to? Well, for those who don't know, you can catch me in Spike Lee's new joint, Chirac, man, this Sunday. I don't know if I'll have this up by time, but nonetheless, Chirac comes out December 4th in theaters across the world in limited release, and then it will be going straight to Amazon, so you can catch me there. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Periscope at Mr. J Washington, MrJaywashington.
Nice. I'm about to be on my way to L.A. here on the 29th with this idiot after we're done here. And then I'll be out in L.A. doing a bunch of shows. I'll hit you guys with that. Find me on Facebook. It's Bobby Hill. You can go to itsbobbyhill.com, and you can look up all my information and all my shows there.
Yeah, I'm finna ask him for these people for his show so I can get me some shows lined up. All right, y'all. This has been the Trusty Sidekick Podcast, man. We're going to do this once a week. Tell somebody to find us. Follow us individually. We'll set up all the other social media, emails, all that other shit.
We'll have that up in a minute.
We'll have all that up. So we're going to be back next week again. All your favorite comic book TV shows and movies, we'll be talking about it here. 45 minutes to an hour. You get all that. You get your nerddom on. And you get to laugh and be like, yo, these two dudes are barely.
And tell us we're stupid.
We'll take that. So we'll holler at you guys next week. Take care. We out here. Peace.
Excelsior.